Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiki Bar. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Ethan Lippman. He leads revenue operations and AI go-to-market engineering at Alchemy. I met Ethan at a couple of conferences earlier this year, and he was the one person in the room who could kind of cut through the slop and show me some really cool stuff that he'd built. So I'm excited to talk to him and learn from him today. Ethan, thank you so much for taking a break from those lovely video games behind you to join us today.
Yeah, which is your favorite, Kevin? Are you like a Jam guy, a Simpsons guy, or a Blitz guy?
And both NBA Jam and NFL Blitz have like serious places in my childhood. I actually remember my mom not loving NFL Blitz because it was like pretty violent. Yeah.
You know, on the like you remember the PlayStation whatever version where you could do the late tackles? On the arcade, they don't let you do the late tackles. And it's because back in the day they weren't going to let an arcade version go out into arcades with like the violence of, the later slams. Meanwhile, nowadays we got like GTA 5 and GTA 6, but yeah.
Oh, I love that. All right, well, we're going back to when you were a kid to start anyway. So this is a good segue. If I'm talking to little kid Ethan, you didn't know you wanted to lead AI go-to-market engineering. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah. So the background here is I'm 5'6". That's one piece of background. Another piece of background is I went to a small Jewish school. So I graduated with like 8 kids through 8th grade. And in that school, my award, my like superlative, my 8th grade superlative was most likely to make it to the NBA. So then when I went to public high school the next year and I tried out for the basketball team, I didn't even make freshman basketball. So then pivoted to hockey, played hockey throughout high school, played some in college, still play today, also wrestled in high school. So the wanted to grow up to be a basketball player quickly evaporated, I'd say in about 5th grade. I realized that wasn't going to happen.
That's a bummer, but you were probably most likely out of the 8, which is an achievement in and of itself. So when you're in high school, college, did you do anything for paid work? Did you have a first kind of odd job that you did to earn money?
Yeah, totally. I was a waiter. That was still my favorite job to this day. I loved waiting tables. It was so fun. You get to go, you get to meet people, be personable, build your regulars. How cool is that? Like if you're a waiter and you get a regular, like someone who requests you, they really liked your service. So I loved being a waiter. That was a really fun
Did you like it right away?
Yeah, I loved it.
What kind of restaurant was it?
It was at the Town Diner. So I grew up in New Jersey, and Jersey has a lot of diners. So it was one of the diners in our town, and it was just like the best job. I loved being a waiter.
That's awesome. Yeah, being a waiter is great because you get instant feedback. It's hard, but it's fast paced, and so I think it's a good sign for those that are going to kind of succeed later in life. And now you went to Syracuse University, if I'm correct here. You mentioned playing hockey. You go into college. Do you have any idea what you want your professional life to look like at that point?
Kinda, probably. Like, I saw what my dad did. He was general manager of a building in New York. So I was like, cool, maybe something in management, probably something more in business, probably something more on the computer side of things. The year is, we're talking 2010, right? So probably just had an iPhone 1 year before that. So technology's still kind of nascent, especially compared to where it is today. But at that point, I was more on the actual hardware side of things. So I thought maybe I'd go into like IT and more of that realm versus the software industry where I ended up.
And what was your first like real job out of college?
So it'd be 2. One is I had like my own kind of like help NYC, almost like a geek squad, but for just me. And basically go to different apartments, and it was more clientele though. It was a little, really didn't know technology at all, Upper West Side apartments, and help them set up their printer or their Wi-Fi or their TV and their speakers and their home entertainment system. And that was something that they all liked, and built relationships like that. Also did like wiring up some warehouses and stuff like that with Wi-Fi, and apartment buildings with Wi-Fi. So a lot on like, again, the hardware side. But in my junior year of college, I think, I interned for a company that called Bridgeline Digital. They're still around. And that was really like the aha moment for me of, okay, I'm going to get into software. And Bridgeline like did like content management, e-commerce, web analytics. And the way I started there was just like introduction. Hey, this is my son. let them intern for you, right? So it's like what, 10, $12 an hour probably, enter junior year of college. And heading into my senior year, I went to Carl, my boss there. What's up, Carl Presley? I was like, hey, Carl, like, how do I come back after I graduate and work here? And he gave me like a 600-page book. And it was like the product was called iApps. And he's like, this is the Bible. This is the everything to do in iApps. He's like, I'm going to give you a demo site and this is your homework. And over your year, if you can prove you really know the product, come back next year and you got a job. And I mean, I studied that as much as I studied school. I knew the product better than anyone else when I graduated. And I like walked right into, I don't know if it was like, I think starting in like customer support for the New York office. But yeah, I mean, I just knew the product like the back of my hand. And that's how I learned it. And that's how I set myself up with the job out of college.
Really interesting. Okay, so you have a couple different things that you're doing right away. Now, this is called Geek Delivery. Is that right? Okay, so how do you actually like get that going? Is it happening organically? Are you setting up a website and like deciding you want to do something entrepreneurial? How does that actually take place?
Yeah, I always want to do something entrepreneurial. Still have that bug. Luckily now with Cloud Code, we could build stuff. We could talk about that later. And by we, I mean people who aren't engineers at heart. But the way I set that up was more flyers, honestly, on the Upper West Side, in apartment buildings, like in the lobbies where I was allowed to put a business card or something like that. And yeah, and then it was like word of mouth from there. But my target demographic for that was mainly people who wouldn't even know to look at the website, you know? Again, it was like helping set up Wi-Fi and printers. And then on the warehousing side and the apartment building side, that was more introductions with people who it's like, oh yeah, I got a guy who knows IT. Let him talk to you.
Absolutely. All right. Now
that's how they sound in New York.
You mentioned Bridgeline. Okay, so you come out of college, you know the product really well. What do you actually then start doing on a day-to-day basis?
What year are we? 2010, 11. So let's see. I started as, all right, this is a big career moment. My dad told me, don't do the job you have, do the job you want to have. So in the New York City office, I was doing customer support for the New York office. There was about 8 offices nationwide. And it was really cool. And I knew the product, I knew the customers, I was good at it. I wanted more. So I spoke to our CTO and CEO at the time. And I was like, hey, we have all these offices. Every office has their own 1 or 2 customer support people. Let's centralize this in the corporate office in Massachusetts and have like an IAP support group, success group. Our CTO at the time, Brett's like, awesome. You want to move to Massachusetts and do it? And I was like, yeah, cool. So I moved to Massachusetts like within that month and then started the IAP success group. And basically then it became a hub and spoke to all the different offices. And I mean, ended up, I want to say somewhere around like 14 people in the success group because we expanded from just customer success to also digital strategy, which again, you know, I went to our CEO and I'm like, so a bunch of people are using us for like SEO and stuff. I can't remember the year. Are like using us for SEO and e-commerce help. What if we have like a strategy division and like sell packages? He's like, great, do that too. I'm like, awesome. So just started doing that. So yeah, that was like a pretty cool defining moment in my career.
Absolutely. You can just start doing stuff. Who knew? Was this also your first time leading people?
Yeah, for sure.
And what was that experience like? Because you're really young when you start doing that. Okay, and I would imagine there's probably some surprises in there when you get going.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone was just great. I mean, that was like, I think I was too young to even really know like what leading people meant. It was more just like have a team, everyone does their job. We would come into the huddle and all say what we're doing. There's no surprises at that point. The surprise came later, right? Of like, but at that point, it's just like be a really good person and let everyone have fun. There's someone in the office who used to say, like, we just make websites, no puppies are dying. So, like, just remind people in customer support, like, guys, we just make websites. This isn't a big deal. Like, let's remember what we do, end the day at 5, have a good time, have a good life. And that's what we did a lot.
I love that. And you eventually moved into sales. Now, I would imagine this isn't super scary for you because you've done your entrepreneurial work, even like working as a waiter is like extremely like I think supportive of a life in sales. But you know, carrying a quota probably formally for the first time, I would imagine still can offer people some surprises. Was there anything about moving into sales that you didn't expect that happened?
Yeah. So Thomas Massey was our CEO. He's awesome. And I don't remember. I think I said something like, "Hey Thomas, I want to get into like engineering or like something like that." He's like, "You're not doing that. You're getting sales." I was like, "Okay, guess I'm getting in sales." And I mean, I thank you. It was the right thing for me at the time. So I started as a kind of I was only our only solution engineer in the company. Again, I knew the product better than anyone, right? Leading support. We didn't have solution engineers. Reps did their own demos. So it's like, okay, let's just use Ethan as the like company solution engineer. So I was like, and I was also our lead trainer. So I was traveling around the country all the time, going to all our offices, going to all our customers, doing the onboarding, doing the training when they launched their website, also doing like all our demos for prospects, and then ended up moving into account management and also channel partners. So working in EMEA channel partnerships and then Northeast account management.
So, okay. So your story is actually pretty natural when you tell it, right? Because you've got these mentors and in the C-suite that are having you try these things, and you know the product better than anyone. But when you actually look at like most folks that are in your seat, they haven't done these like different areas. They haven't all done sales, and then the next thing that you do, which is actual product management. So can you talk about then you've now done sales, you're leading the training group, you're doing all the demos. Now you're actually responsible for product management. What does that bring to you?
Yeah, I knew I wasn't cut out for sales. I was doing a demo because I did my own demos. Um, but I was a solution engineer doing a demo, and the person was not right. It wasn't the right buyer. We weren't in touch with the economic buyer, and she was not interested in all and what we were putting down. And I pull up. I want to say this is like Skype at the time, right? So like I pull up my Skype to message Glenn, the account rep. I was like, she has no interest in this. She's also not like the level. Like we're wasting our time. And he's like, you're sharing your screen. I'm like, oh no. So that was bad. Product shift. Look, I was at the company for probably 5 years at this point, 4 or 5 years. And I was like, all right. I had that moment of like, well, I'm supporting a product other people are building. Now I'm selling a product other people are building. I want to build the product that everyone else is selling. So again, kind of went to leadership and was like, hey, we don't have a product manager. It's just our CTO leading product. I want to do that. I want to lead our product. And they're like, okay. So took over. I was our only product person. And what I built there was pretty cool. We had e-commerce, content management, web analytics, a social media platform, but we didn't have marketing automation. And I felt that was really missing to complete the suite. So I built a marketing automation product from the ground up, working with the UI UX team and of course our engineering team. And after that went live, as soon after that is when I left. But I will say they actually rebranded. We called that product Unbound Marketing. And it was so successful that Bridgeline rebranded from Bridgeline Digital to Bridgeline Unbound. And they actually started to lead with that product. So that was pretty cool. Knew it was successful for them, which made me really happy because I love that company. I was there for a long time.
Yeah, that's amazing that they changed the name. I didn't even catch that in my research. All right, now, so you have this sort of 7-year run to start your career, various different roles. You're moving up quickly, and then you eventually get into this path of RevOps and go-to-market strategy at a few different places, and you're in executive positions there. Is there a moment in your career where you like kind of click into that specifically, where you think, okay, this is the path for me. This is what I should. Sure. All right. So you eventually move into RevOps and go-to-market strategy at a few different places. And I'm curious, after all of this work in different aspects of the business, what made RevOps or go-to-market like something that you wanted to kind of click into?
Yeah, so my first go-to-market role was competitive intelligence at Workfront. And I was at Hearst Digital Media at the time building really cool products, but I wanted to get back into B2B. And I was like, what role is ripe for innovation? And my thought was probably competitive intelligence. I didn't really know about that much about it. But at Hearst, I was building really cool chatbots, like way innovative chatbots. And this is well before ChatGPT, like really cool stuff. It's actually still like the number one case study on Slack's website, which is awesome. So I was like, all right, chatbots are probably a really good way to deliver message. It's a great front door to content. There's probably a lot of innovation on top of competitive intelligence that you could deliver there. I think I'm going to target that role. And I got really lucky and blessed. And a company called Workfront started there under an awesome VP of product marketing. And I was leading competitive intelligence for the company. And the biggest win I had there and a really big career unlock is just creating an internal chatbot called Pete. Pete was short for compete. and it was the competitive intelligence Slack bot. And you just typed in the name of a competitor in Slack, and Pete would respond with the battle cards, the positioning, the landmine questions, all that good stuff. And that was really ahead of its time. And of course, again, this is well before ChatGPT, and it was a great front door to content. And Pete ended up getting a lot of traction. I ended up expanding Compete into also being product recommendations. So if you were looking for, hey, I'm talking to a customer that's interested in XYZ product, we would now surface those types of product recommendations as well. And I remember Pete got so much traction that I got a call I got like a meeting on my calendar from our CEO at the time. And he was just basically like, hey man, you're building really cool stuff. I love to see it. Keep making the company better. And I was like, cool, thanks. That means a lot. So that was like just a neat moment of, no one told me to build Pete. My boss wasn't like, hey, build a competitive intelligence Slack bot. But I had a boss who was good enough to give me the runway and be like, hey, your job is to arm and equip this company as well as you can. You're going to be the one to figure out how to do that.
Were you intentionally thinking about it as RevOps or go-to-market as a product org? Because clearly the way that you're thinking about it is I built a product for my team. You don't really hear that a lot. Had you made that distinction? Was it just coming up organically for you? How did you think about that at that time?
I thought about it pretty like that Slack is the best front door to stuff. There's competitive intelligence companies out there. I tried to start one. I'm not going to, but I just think they're fundamentally not great because they want people to go to their UI. And fundamentally, look, even now, right? Fast forward to today, Headless 360, never go to Salesforce UI again. Going to UIs is a little outdated. People want to do the work and get answers where they work. And with competitive intelligence, dude, that should be delivered in Slack, where you're hanging out all the time, or Microsoft Teams if that's what your company uses. So yeah, I just thought it was the best front door to content. And I definitely always do think in a product mindset. Even what I'm doing today is we're building like a whole AI go-to-market platform for our sales reps, and products just scale, they scale better than anything else.
I want to get into that because I've seen some of the stuff you've built and it's incredible. Yeah. Have you had a favorite portion of a recent project or something that has clicked really well, or maybe the converse, like something you thought was going to work right away and tanked?
Oh, I mean, I led product for years. I had a lot of things that I thought would work right away and tanked, but those are boring stories. No, like the recent success is just, I'll give you two. One is what we're building for our go-to-market team is we're calling it Elixir. How do we even get to this place? We were at the crossroads, right? And it's, hey, do you want to build or buy? And very intentionally, I wanted to build. Our CRO agreed. Both product people, background. Okay, well, if we're going to build, what core competency do we need? Well, the core competency we need is an engineer. I don't want to just go build on a whole bunch of point solutions and be dependent on another vendor. If we're going to build, we're going to build. So we went out and hired an AI engineer and had a very specific type of archetype we wanted for that, right? So found the perfect archetype, found the perfect person, hired that person, exceeds expectations. And now we built what we call Elixir. And Kevin, we were at the
conference.
Yeah, we were at the conference together. And we're seeing vendors and their whole product is just one of the smallest features in Elixir and what we've built. Like, for example, call coaching. If you have a transcript and you have the context of the deal from Salesforce and emails and internal data from like Google Drive, Confluence, Jira, etc., your own AI could do the call coaching, right? So stuff like that, where when you're building, you realize all these point solutions are in trouble because if you want to build it, you can build it. You just need the data. And especially if you're building it bespoke for just your company, you don't have to worry about all these edge cases other companies are going to throw at you. You could build something perfect for logging systems, etc.
Now, I want to talk differently just about Ethan, the leader. You mentioned when you were... Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'll restart it. So I want to get into your leadership style because when you mentioned when you kind of got your first leadership role, you were a kid and it came like relatively natural to what the role was doing at the time. How about now? How have things changed for you now that you've led teams for some time and have kind of grown into executive positions?
Yeah, just try to be great. Try to be a great person. Try to be really nice. Try to be understanding. Make sure people realize this is work and you have a home life, and that's probably super more important. If it's not, it probably should be. And then, it really all just starts with a good mission. I think of my boss at Workfront, right? She didn't tell me to go build a Slack bot to deliver competitive intelligence. She said, do the best job at delivering competitive intelligence to equip the field. I said, no problem. This is probably the best way to do it. So if you give people what we call leaders intent at Alchemy, which is, hey, this is the best way, this is your job. I'll start over. So if you give people a leader's intent, which is, hey, your job is to create the best AI go-to-market flow tool set for the company, and you leave it at that, then you just got to let your people cook. And that's why it's all about creating a clear leader's intent. That way people know what it is they have to do.
North
Star. Like sales enablement, right? If you give your sales enablement person a clear leader's intent of, hey, your main priority, your main job is to make sure sales reps are equipped after they start, certified in our products, and ready to start selling on day 90, then that's the leader's intent. How that person chooses to get there should be up to them. And as long as you made the right hires, they're going to do a great job.
Is there a skill that you are unusually good at now that younger Ethan would not have predicted?
Younger Ethan wouldn't believe how much of a coder older Ethan became. Kevin, before this call, I showed you what I'm working on just for fun. But y'all, if you haven't started to play in Claude Code, and I mean actually like build something, just go build it. Like just have an idea and start. Like I went into here's the best thing. Claude and any AI codex, they're not judgmental. So like if you're talking to an engineer, you might feel silly to ask dumb questions. At least I do. But I'm not embarrassed when I'm talking to Codex or Claude Code. So I went to Claude Code. I was like, hey, here's my idea. I want to build a product that basically could replace Calendly, and it looks super cool, and it looks like Saved by the Bell. And I've never done this before. So walk me through every step of the way, but I also want to learn. So tell me the what, tell me the why, tell me what we're doing, and let's start cooking. And 2 days later, I had a fully functioning, really cool product that is actually now going through all the Google permissioning. That way I could publish it and make it live. Just for fun. Like this isn't like Ethan's new job. This is just a fun thing I wanted to do. So if you haven't started really getting into the weeds, and if you're still just like prompting, you got to move out of that and you got to move to the next step.
Absolutely. Now, my last question is always a selfish one. What is something outside of work that you find yourself recommending to everyone? It could be a book, a TV show, an exercise class, something that you do. I just like to soak in a recommendation from really interesting people.
Well, you're going to make fun of me because it's the same answer that I just gave. I remember when we had our AI engineer and he started on like day 3, I say, hey, what do you do outside of work? Like, what are your hobbies? Right? When I get to know. And he's like, dude, it's AI. That's my hobby. And I didn't get it. And then fast forward like 3 months and I was like texting him over the weekend. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so much more fun than any video game or computer game I've ever played. Like I had an idea, I've built it, it's good. As a front end Vercel, it's got a Supabase database. It's got my GitHub repository. I'm actually have Google authentication working. It's connecting to my calendar. I'm like, this is crazy. Like this is what he's like, yeah. Do you remember back when I started and you asked me what I do for fun? And my answer was AI because like it's fun. I'm like, yes, I get it. And now it's like, thank God there's a token limit because that's just when I know it's bedtime, right? It's like I do work during the day and then at like 6:30 p.m. I'm like, cool, I'm going to go play around for some stuff and hit that token limit. I'm like, okay, good. I could call it a night and it's probably a safe way to do it. So at this point, my answer is play and build and anything's possible. It's so crazy.
Love that. That's a great note to end on. Ethan, thank you so much for your time. We will post a link also to your new Calendly killer in the comments here so people can check it out on Product Hunt or wherever it lives. And we're super grateful for spending the time with us, and we'll keep in touch with all that you're doing.
Thanks, man.